Before you rush to a mechanic and drop $600 on repairs you might not even need, here's the truth. Your AC probably isn't broken at all. With a few simple tricks, it could start blowing colder than it did brand new. These 15 fixes are easy, most cost less than a pizza, and some won't cost you a single cent. Stick around because the first one is something you're probably doing wrong every day without even knowing it. Your car's entire climate system starts its calculations with one simple number, the outside air temperature. But when that tiny sensor behind your grill gets dirty or begins reading inaccurately, it tells the AC to cool less aggressively to avoid freezing. The result is lukewarm air from the vents even when you're roasting inside your car. Sometimes the sensor itself is still working fine, but dirt, bug splatter, or road grime can throw off its readings by 10 degrees or more. That's why you should grab some electronics cleaner or a little car soap and use a soft brush to clean it gently. After that, dry it using low-pressure air, but avoid blasting it too hard since these sensors are delicate. If it's still showing crazy numbers like 35 degrees on a blazing summer day, then it's time to replace it. Most replacements cost around $30 and take just a few minutes to install. And this one small sensor does a lot more than you'd think. It controls your compressor cycles, fan speeds, and even when the system switches to recirculation. Once it's working properly again, you could see vent temperatures drop by 10 degrees instantly. Some vehicles even allow you to reset the climate system afterward for a clean slate. But even with perfect sensor readings, there's still one overlooked part that can quietly choke your cooling power, and most people don't even think to check it. This might sound basic, but a dirty cabin filter is silently choking your AC, and you probably didn't even realize it. When that filter gets clogged with dust, pollen, and all kinds of buildup, it cuts your airflow by up to 40%. That means your vents can feel 5 to 8 degrees warmer, even though your AC system is working just fine. It's like trying to breathe through a dirty sock, and your blower motor has to work twice as hard just to push less air through the evaporator. As a result, your car takes longer to cool down and your compressor ends up struggling for no good reason. The good part is that replacing the filter is quick and easy. In most cars, it takes about 7 minutes. Just lower the glove box, pull out the dusty old filter, and slide in a clean new one for around $15. If your current filter feels damp, looks discolored, or smells like a gym locker, it's long overdue for a change. As soon as you install a clean filter, you'll notice stronger airflow and cooler vent temperatures almost immediately. There are no tools needed and no diagnostics involved, just quick and simple maintenance that helps both you and your system breathe better. You've probably noticed how your AC feels amazing on the highway but turns weak the moment you hit stop-and-go traffic. Well, there's actually a sneaky reason for this, and it's probably something you've never looked at before. Pop your hood and check the space between your radiator and that big metal grid in front. That's your condenser. Now, if there are gaps between these components, even tiny openings, let up to 35% of your fan's airflow sneak around instead of doing its job cooling your refrigerant. When your fan spins, all that air should be forced through both your radiator and condenser. But those gaps create an escape route, so your condenser gets starved while your AC struggles, especially when you're idling in traffic or waiting in drive-through lines. Now, the fix is actually pretty simple, though. Grab some quality closed-cell foam weather stripping for about $12. Clean the surfaces with rubbing alcohol first, then seal up those gaps. You can even add zip ties for extra security if you want. Car manufacturers already do this sealing from the factory, but age, repairs, or aftermarket parts often leave these gaps wide open. Once you close them properly, drivers report vent temps dropping 10 to 15 degrees immediately. Most drivers have no idea they're using the recirculation setting the wrong way, and that small mistake is costing them cold air every single day. That circular arrow button isn't just a random option, because when used properly, it completely changes how fast your car cools down. If you're blasting the AC while pulling in hot air from outside, then your system is constantly fighting to cool down 100-degree heat. But when you hit that recirculation button, your system reuses the air that's already been cooled inside the cabin, and suddenly the entire process becomes way more efficient. Tests show that switching to recirculation can drop vent temperatures from 70 to 50 degrees in half the time. It's not just a minor upgrade, because it helps your AC deliver colder air much faster while putting less strain on your compressor. That means you get better fuel economy and your system doesn't wear out as quickly. It also helps keep out exhaust fumes, dust, and all kinds of city pollution, especially during stop-and-go traffic. Just be sure to switch it off once in a while during winter when you have a full car so you don't end up with foggy windows. This tiny adjustment takes zero effort but gives you instant results. Now, this tiny rubber tube under your car looks completely insignificant, but it's actually the MVP of your entire AC system. It drains away all the water your evaporator pulls out of humid air, and when it clogs, which it will, you're heading for disaster. The drain usually sits on the passenger side near your firewall, and when leaves, dirt, or just time blocks it up, that water has nowhere to go, so it sits there, growing mold, fogging your windows, soaking your carpets, and worst of all, turning your evaporator into an ice block. You'll get nice cold air for about 10 minutes and then suddenly, nothing. Your AC teases you, then quits, only to kick back in once the ice melts, and the whole cycle starts all over again. And the wild part? It's usually a $0 issue that takes just 30 seconds to fix. Just slide under your car, find that little rubber hose, and give it a gentle squeeze. If nothing comes out, poke it carefully with something soft, like a plastic straw or weed trimmer line. Never use metal tools, since you could nick the rubber and create a permanent leak. When that clog breaks free, water often gushes out immediately, and you'll feel the difference right away with steadier, colder air. This simple fix can restore 6 to 8 degrees of cooling instantly, while preventing moldy carpets and expensive repairs later. Tucked behind your glove compartment is a fan that's likely gathering more dust and debris than your vacuum ever has. This blower motor pushes air through your evaporator, but over time, it turns into a nasty lint trap packed with dust, pollen, pet hair, and pretty much anything else that gets pulled in. When those fan blades get gunked up, airflow drops big time. We're talking 10 to 20% less air moving through your system. That means longer cool down times, warmer vents, and a compressor working way harder than it should. Now, cleaning it is pretty straightforward once you know where it is. Pull your glove box, usually just a few clips, unbolt the motor housing, and give those blades a thorough cleaning with a vacuum and brush attachment. Take your time and be gentle since these aren't industrial strength fans. It's one of those maintenance items nobody thinks about, but once you do it, you'll wonder how you survived summer driving without it. Many modern cars have small motorized shutters hidden behind the front grille, and when these get stuck closed, your AC system takes a major hit. These shutters are designed to close for better fuel efficiency at higher speeds and open up when your engine or AC needs extra cooling, but if they fail to open fully, your condenser ends up starved for airflow. Without enough air passing through that condenser, your refrigerant can't release heat like it's supposed to, so pressure builds up fast, and before you know it, your vents start blowing warm instead of cold. In some cases, stuck shutters can raise your vent temperatures by 10 to 12 degrees, especially when you're crawling through traffic or idling at a stoplight. The good news is that the fix doesn't always require a trip to the mechanic, because sometimes it's just debris blocking the shutters or the pivot points need a bit of cleaning. A flashlight check behind the grille can usually tell you what's going on, and if needed, a little penetrating oil or even zip tying the shutters open as a temporary fix can make a big difference. Manufacturers like Ford and GM have actually run into this during testing and confirmed that stuck shutters can push your compressor to work harder than necessary, drain your fuel faster, and make your fans run non-stop. Once those shutters are moving freely, your AC performance and gas mileage both start to recover. That little eco button on your dashboard might seem harmless, but it is quietly sabotaging your AC performance, and you probably don't even realize it. When economy mode is turned on, your car deliberately limits how cold the air gets just to save a few cents on gas or to squeeze out a few extra miles of electric range. It reduces compressor power, slows down the fan speeds, and even mixes in warm air sooner than it should. You might think your AC is weak or that it needs a recharge, but in reality, it is just the software restricting your cold air in order to meet those EPA efficiency targets. If you turn eco mode off, most cars instantly blow air that is 6 to 10 degrees colder. On hybrids and electric vehicles, the system is even more aggressive about protecting battery range, and it can reduce AC performance even when you are plugged in at home. This might cost you a couple of bucks a week in fuel or range, but it will definitely save your sanity every time you get into a car that has been sitting under the sun. Your windows let in over 50% of the sun's heat, and once that heat gets trapped inside, even the strongest AC starts to struggle. However, a good quality ceramic or infrared rejecting film helps block that heat before it ever has a chance to build up, and can reject up to 65% of total solar energy. Even nearly clear films can make your cabin start out 20 degrees cooler without you needing to touch the fan speed. This is not about making your windows look dark, but about stopping the invisible infrared heat that slowly bakes your car from the inside. Premium films are designed to block heat you cannot see, and that is why a clear high-tech film can often outperform even the darkest tint when it comes to keeping your car cool. With less heat load inside the cabin, your AC does not have to work as hard, and you end up getting better fuel economy along with as much as 6% better real-world efficiency. Once this film is installed by a professional, you never really have to think about it again, because it just keeps working year after year. When you are sitting at a red light and your AC starts blowing warm air, the real issue might not be your cooling system at all, because it could be your engine's idle speed. At low idle, especially when it drops below 700 RPM, your engine just cannot produce enough electrical power for everything to run the way it should. Your alternator slows down, voltage drops across the system, and your AC loses the electrical push it needs to stay cold. This affects more than just the cooling, since it also impacts fan speed, clutch engagement, and how well your blower motor performs. Older cars, or ones with dirty throttle bodies, run into this problem more often. A quick throttle body cleaning, along with a small idle speed adjustment, can bring everything back into that sweet spot near 750 RPM. Once your engine holds a steady idle, your AC comes back to life, with colder air, stronger fans, and no more struggling when you're stuck at every red light. Those rubber seals around your doors might look fine, but if they're cracked, flattened, or peeling, they're like invisible holes in your cabin. Hot, humid air sneaks in constantly, and your compressor has to work overtime just to cool and dry all that extra air. Even small leaks can extend your cool down time by several minutes and raise vent temperatures by 6 to 10 degrees. Plus, you get all those annoying side effects: foggy windows after rain, musty smells, and that whistling wind noise on the highway. New OEM seals typically run $50 to $100 per door, but you can DIY the job with quality bulb tape and a hairdryer for about $20 total. It sounds like a boring upgrade until your AC stops feeling weak and your cabin becomes a proper cold zone. That thick black hose running near your firewall stays ice cold when your AC is running, but it's constantly soaking up heat from your engine bay. When that suction line absorbs thermal energy from exhaust pipes, hot coolant hoses, and everything else under there, it quietly robs your system of 4 to 6 degrees of cooling at the vents. The physics is simple. Cooler suction lines mean cooler cabin temperatures. Wrapping the hottest sections in reflective insulation or foam sleeve blocks that radiant heat that bakes this component all summer long. Commercial drivers and classic car enthusiasts have used this trick for decades with great results. Just don't cover the last few inches so your system can still manage excess refrigerant properly. This isn't some experimental mod. Premium manufacturers like Mercedes already do this from the factory. You're just finishing what they started. There's a tiny $15 relay in your underhood fuse box that could be strangling your AC performance from behind the scenes. When relays age or electrical connections get corroded, they create voltage drops that starve your compressor clutch and cooling fans. It doesn't take much voltage loss to cause big problems. Losing just 1 volt can reduce clutch holding force by 20%, which means it slips, overheats, and your cold air fades fast. Start by checking voltage at the clutch connector while your AC is running and compare it to battery voltage. If the voltage difference is more than half a volt, there's likely an electrical issue. Try replacing the relay with a new one, clean up any corroded terminals, and then check the readings again. When vent temps suddenly drop 10 to 15 degrees, you've nailed the problem. Think of it this way. Full voltage means full cooling power, but weak electrical supply restricts performance no matter how perfect your refrigerant levels are. When your AC used to blast Arctic air but now just sort of cools, it's probably not broken, it's just thirsty. Cars lose refrigerant gradually through normal operation as seals naturally breathe and hoses flex with temperature changes. You lose about 5 to 7% of your charge per year, which is enough to raise vent temperatures by 8 to 12 degrees and make every trip feel like slow torture. A $40 DIY recharge kit with a built-in gauge can restore factory cooling performance in about 15 minutes. You're aiming for low side pressure around 32 to 38 psi on a warm day. That's the sweet spot where cold air pours out instead of just dribbling. The added refrigerant also carries lubricating oil that reduces compressor wear. Just don't overdo it, since too much pressure actually makes things hotter instead of colder. It's about precision, not just pumping in refrigerant and hoping for the best. When you're driving in hot climates, your heater core might quietly be working against your AC system from its hidden spot behind the dashboard. Even when the heat is off, it stays filled with 195-degree coolant, radiating heat just inches from your AC components. Tests in luxury vehicles show that blocking this coolant flow can drop vent temps from 52 to 44 degrees. The fix is simple. Cap both heater hoses at the firewall with brass fittings or install a seasonal shutoff valve. This gives you quicker cooldowns after hot starts, cooler floors, less compressor cycling, and better efficiency on long drives. Many desert drivers rely on this to get more from their AC. Just remember, this disables the heater, so it's only for warm weather use. Now, one last issue often gets overlooked but can quietly ruin your AC's performance. Over time, the tiny screw holding your blend door actuator can loosen due to dashboard vibrations. When that happens, the blend door doesn't fully block hot air even when you're blasting the AC. It might seem like everything works, but airflow stays lukewarm. Tightening this screw takes under a minute and often makes the difference between mediocre and ice-cold air. So these were the 15 simple tricks that can instantly level up your car's AC performance. Some cost nothing, others take just minutes, but together they can completely transform how cool and comfortable your ride feels. Try a few or try them all, and you'll feel the difference next time you hit the road. And if you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our next video for more smart car tips that actually work.